Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, this is Megneous and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Dinosaurs. So, as you can see, I've made a tiny room. This is actually the bottom of our hole through the trunk of our treehouse. Down here I decided to make a little room and finally put one of our enchanting tables down because I want to try out enchanting. I raised a lot of cows and chickens and then slaughtered them for their delicious EXP. I'm now at level 30, which I believe is the level worth doing enchantments at. And we actually have some dinosaur news today. So there are actually two bits of dinosaur news, one about Allosaurus and one about Ichthyosaurs, and I will explain again in case you guys don't know what Ichthyosaurs are. But before we get into that, let's check out this enchanting. Alright, so I think I need my diamond chestplate here. I'm going to enchant the diamond chestplate as my first enchant because it just seems like that would be something good to enchant for the first time. From what I've read, I believe that this stuff is complete nonsense and doesn't actually mean anything. The only thing that matters is the number of levels that you spend on the enchantment. Of course, it's very random, or so I've heard, so it could end up that I only get one very weak, very crappy enchant, but spending 30 levels is probably the best way of trying to get multiple enchantments and higher level enchantments. So let's go ahead and waste our 30 levels, not that we were using them anyway, but let's go ahead and see if anything comes of this. Click! What just happened? Protection 4. Oh, that's not that bad at all. I guess that just gives us more protection? Higher defense? I don't even know. I wish this made some sort of sound. I see that it's collecting letters from the books and such. But I really wish it made a sound. It seems sort of strange. Also down here, since we're down here, we are going to pick up all of this stone, which is going to actually probably give us another level. Yes, it does. We're going to pick up the stone, and the reason we're collecting all of this stone specifically, and we can't actually hold all of it, what sorts of things can we put in here? I want to throw this out. I said I want to throw this out. Go away. Is because we are going to make a lot of brick stones, or stone bricks. Well, why brick stone? Stone bricks. We're going to make those so that we can begin to think about making our tower. I went through the suggestions for projects in the last episodes, and I decided that the project that I wanted to tackle first was the giant, well, it's not particularly giant, but just a large stone tower to go to about head height for Ceres. And someone also thought that it would be cool to use that as a tower to attack enemies and stuff like that, I suppose, so that they cannot hit me. But nonetheless, this is going to be the idea. That's probably nowhere near enough stone bricks. And I'm definitely not very good at building towers, but we're going to go and see about that if we can get out of our hole, of course. And here we go. Alright, so going back upstairs. So for the news, for dinosaur news, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Allosaurus. Those of you who don't know what an Allosaurus is, first of all, you should totally go look it up because it's awesome. But Allosaurus is one of the best known, most well-studied dinosaurs. It is a theropod dinosaur, meaning that it is a three-toed predator, bird-like meaning, you know, the theropods were the family that eventually some of the species evolved into birds. I don't think I need anything from here. I think I already have glass. I should put this in here. Alright, now we're good. So, yes, so it's a theropod, it was a carnivore, it was a predator, chased down, and it is nighttime, so let's go to sleep. I do not want to deal with creepers attacking me while I try to do this tower. So anyway, we have lots of Allosaurus bones, like I said, it's one of the most well-studied species of dinosaur. I mean, there were lots of kinds of it. I think Allosaurus was one of... I'm pretty sure there were Allosauruses in North America, but, yes. So, anyway, the point is that they took some bones and they used some new technology, imaging technology, where they scanned the bones and all of the fine, minute details, and then essentially changed it into data in a computer program, which allowed them to 3D model the bones And then using information on the bones and general knowledge of... Hello, Icarus. General knowledge of birds, skeletons, and muscle groups, as well as alligators, which, although alligators are not technically dinosaurs, dinosaurs and alligators are both archosaurs, which means that they're pretty closely related. So using birds and... Hello? I have not seen any names for this guy that I particularly like yet, so yes, please do let me know below in the comments what you would like to name this plesiosaur. But continuing on our conversation, I get distracted so easily. Yes, using crocodiles and alligators and birds, information about those, they were able to compile enough information to basically remap the skeletal and muscular structure of Allosaurus' head and neck. And where should we put this tower? I want to get a little higher so I can see what I'm doing. And after... The original idea was that Allosaurus would be like T-Rex. What T-Rex has is the T-Rex... I guess we can just put the tower right here, eh? T-Rex has two little sort of winglets of bone on the sides of its skull. And then it has these specialized muscles that probably attach to those little winglets. And the muscle pulls on the skull left and right, which enables the T-Rex to move its head to the left and right with a lot of force. And it was believed that Allosaurus probably did something similar, but it seems to... According to the detailed data that they modeled, it seems that those little winglets on the Allosaur skeletons are slightly, yeah, I guess like right here would be quite decent. Is this too far? No, I think it'll be fine. I think right here will be just fine. So I'm not really sure how to start planning how large this is going to be. May actually have to take some dirt out of here. But yes, so it appears, after looking at the data, that these particular muscles and skeletal winglets, let's call them, on the Allosaur were slightly lower on the head. And the way that it works in the T-Rex is that, you know, if the one on the right contracts, it pulls the head to the right. If the one on the left contracts, it pulls the head to the left. And if both contract at the same time, due to the winglets being quite high on the skull, it would essentially pull the skull up so that the T-Rex could look up. Allosaurus, on the other hand, has its winglets quite a bit lower, indicating that maybe it didn't do... Man, how large is this supposed to be? I need to stop talking about the Allosaurus for a moment and actually think about what I'm doing. Otherwise, this is just going to be a terribly ugly tower. Okay, so what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this good? I don't actually know what I'm doing at all. I'm very bad at making circles as well. Alright, so let's just imagine that this is 2. Yeah, that is perhaps 1 too far out, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I really wish that I had learned how to make circles in this game. But anyway, yes. Okay, I can do this. So 2 there. Alright, okay. I can do that. There we go. There! That wasn't so hard. Alright, very good. So I'm going to assume that this is going to be my floor. And I'm going to need steps. but we're not going to worry about the steps just yet today. So moving on with the Allosaur explanation while I foolishly attempt to pretend to make something. I do not have enough wood. Oh well, anyway. Let's just start building up, and then I will come back and fix it later. So the Allosaurus, as I was saying, many times, and continuously getting distracted, the Allosaurus's little winglets are lower on its head, sort of, and I'm of course not a scientist on this myself, so I can't explain it very well, but it appears that basically what was going on was that the Allosaurus skeletal system sort of implies that something was quite different from the T-Rex, meaning that rather than tearing its food side to side after it bites down on its prey, you know, grabs its prey and bites down, tears side to side like a crocodile does, for example, it is believed currently now that Allosaurus actually, I cannot reach that far, would put its head down to its prey, grab its prey with its teeth, and then pull its head directly back using pressure or, I guess, strength. I can't describe these things. This is not my field. To tear the meat off of the bones, pulling back using its body and neck. This is, interestingly, the same way that falcons today eat their food and capture prey, which is pretty interesting in itself if you think about it. I think this is good. Does it even have to be this big? I don't actually know. Let's go ahead and do something like this. Yes, so Allosaurus probably had something similar in terms of eating patterns to modern-day falcons, which is pretty interesting considering falcons and Allosaurs are divided by at least 65 million years of evolution. Much more, of course, probably, since the species of theropods that evolved into birds became distinct from Allosaurus quite a while before that, I do believe, but somewhere between 65 and 100 million years. I mean, well, what's 40 million years or so? The second thing on the news for dinosaur stuff is that... yes, the Ichthyosaur. Ichthyosaurs. So, for those of you who don't know what Ichthyosaurs are, Ichthyosaurs, it literally means fish lizard. So, these fish lizards, you've probably seen pictures of them before. They look very similar to dolphins. They were marine reptiles, not actually dinosaurs, but they were around at the same time as the dinosaurs. So lots of people like to think of them as dinosaurs. And these marine reptiles, they were actually some of my favorite prehistoric crazy creatures. I actually really like them because they're a very good example of convergent evolution. The Ichthyosaurs originally had no sail. Well, it's not a sail, it's technically a fin, I guess. They didn't have a dorsal fin, but just like dolphins that evolved a dorsal fin by way of, I believe, either cartilage or an extended vertebrae, so did Ichthyosaurs, and it's basically in the same place. And dolphins and Ichthyosaurs actually look incredibly similar. Oh, that wasn't good. In terms of body structure, and of course one is a mammal, and one was a giant freaking reptile, which is pretty cool. Such distinct species ended up evolving very similar forms simply because they probably filled the same niche. They were probably ocean predators, probably, if not the top. Oh no, I'm still alive. If not the top, then probably very close to the top of the food chain during their time period. Actually, when dolphins were evolving, they weren't actually on the top. This is sort of random information about dolphins, but when dolphins were evolving, they weren't actually on the top of the food chain. Of course, there are sharks and stuff now, but the main thing that was probably eating dolphins back when they were first becoming their own separate species from whales and such were another species of giant whale and dolphin that primarily lived in very deep water and was probably quite cannibalistic, actually. You should totally go watch that documentary. I have no idea what it was called, but it was pretty interesting nonetheless. Hello. Yes, so Ichthyosaurs. Sigh. So what ended up happening with Ichthyosaurs was that originally everyone thought that they died out, something around 150 million years ago, I think. I think that's about when people thought that they had died out. And it was just sort of like a given, a thing that was taken as fact in paleontology. And you'll find lots of things like this, things that are taken as fact in paleontology. And then next thing you know, someone finds something and everything's turned on its head. And that's precisely what happened this time. There was a specimen of Ichthyosaur that was found about 70 years ago, I believe, in Kurdistan. In Kurdistan, sort of a weird place for Ichthyosaur bones to end up, because pretty sure this is the only specimen that's ever been found from Kurdistan. Maybe because we haven't been looking there very much, but maybe because they were also just pretty rare there. But despite the fact that everyone thought that Ichthyosaurs as an entire family had gone extinct 150 million years ago, this particular species was like sitting in a museum for quite a long time, and someone decided to do some research on it and found that it dated to, I think, about 66, 70 million years ago, something like that. And basically that turns everything on its head, meaning that Ichthyosaurs were around for quite a bit longer, although a lot of species went extinct when we think that they did. This is about head height with series. Alright. Very good. So this is how high our tower needs to be. And I guess next episode we'll start focusing on putting in... I'm quite afraid of heights, actually. Putting in stairs. But finishing up the Ichthyosaur stuff. Found in Kurdistan, measured to somewhere around like 66 or 70 million years ago, which means that not all the species died out when we thought they did. Some of them survived, possibly only the ones in around the area of Kurdistan, since clearly we weren't looking there before, and the stuff that we found we didn't really analyze for a very long time. Lots of fossils end up like this, sitting around in museums for like 50 plus years before someone actually tries to figure out what it is and where it comes from and such. So now we know that Ichthyosaurs actually survived as a family for quite a bit longer than we thought they did, although they did go extinct, we believe, before the cataclysmic event, the KT extinction, the end of the Cretaceous period, that was probably brought on by, few giant, possibly meteorites, I guess technically, meteorites that were asteroids out in space, or possibly a comet. I think there was some research recently that suggested that that was a comet rather than an asteroid. Let's make it a little bit higher. But yeah, so I was actually pretty surprised today to check and find that not only did we have dinosaur news to talk about, but we actually had, multiple things of dinosaur news to talk about, which is always nice. Invigorating, I guess you could say. As for space news, we don't have a lot of time left for space news, but those of you who love space, you guys should know that the Kepler satellite, you guys probably know what Kepler is, but just in case you don't, Kepler is a satellite which was tasked with examining a little part of the sky, very small part of the sky, but of course with hundreds of thousands of stars in it, because that's how space works, but a very small part of the sky near Cygnus, I believe, and yeah, it should be in Cygnus the Swan, right? And basically its job was to just like stay there, check it out, and see how many planets it could find transiting, going in front of the stars that we could see from there. Oh. And we're good. Very good. We're still alive. I do say that is sort of an impressive tower. Gonna have to do some flair on it, but it's pretty good. Pretty good, I'd say. I'm pretty terrible at building, so I'm pretty proud of that. But nonetheless, so in space news, the Kepler satellite, which was supposed to find exoplanets, planets orbiting other stars using the transit method, looking for slight dimming. What in the world? How did my saber cat get out of its enclosure? Who are you and what are you doing here? Yes. I guess that's Bastet. Bastet, how did you get over here? Did you eat a cow? I don't understand. I am so confused right now. But anyway, the Kepler satellite, which was supposed to find exoplanets, has been having some issues, some troubles, unfortunately. It's already lost one of its reaction wheels back in 2012, and it just lost another one of its reaction wheels, leaving it only 2, which is not enough for it to be able to control its attitude, I guess you could say, very well. Thus, it's going to lose track of where it's pointed in the sky. Technically, they're looking for things to fix it, maybe ways to get the reaction wheels back working again, or possibly maybe to use their thrusters, because satellites usually have, like, if you play Kerbal Space Program, like RCS thrusters, something like that, to keep it pointed in the right direction so that it can continue to find exoplanets. But that may not end up working. It may end up dying as a satellite and no longer being useful. But we're holding our fingers. We're hoping that NASA and their genius engineers come through, fix everything. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that as well as other dinosaur news. I think that's about all we're going to do for today. Making that tower, and we got our diamond chestplate with protection for it, which is pretty cool. So I think that's basically everything for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. My name is Megneous, and I will see you next time.